Ooh, welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence. Prez and Teddy covers is my co-host. We got a great show lined up. Tons of betting information. Right off the bat, we're going to tackle the Kentucky Derby. We're going to do a deep dive. Sean Alvarez will be joining us. After that, one of the most popular segments we have, Gianni will be joining us. He's got some UFC picks, and we'll get some NBA and baseball out of him as well. And we're going to end the show with Art DiCesare. Teddy covers. What is your big game breakdown?
Big game breakdown, MLB. It's a client play for tonight. We'll talk Dodgers and Braves. And, of course, in What Bettors Learned, I'll break down my 30-point loser with the 5% big ticket last night. What happened? What did I get wrong? A little post-mortem on that when it comes to What Bettors Learned, Lawrence.
There we go. And we'll have the penalty box segment at the end of the show as well. Sean Alvarez joining us. And Sean, welcome to WagerTalk Today, my friend. I love having you on. Thanks for joining us. It's exciting times for horse racing fans. Not that I understand horse racing fans, but I think we have something called the Kentucky Derby going on Saturday. You pumped?
Yeah, I mean, there's a small race that I think probably the entire country is tuning into, whether you're a horse player or not. There's a lot of I would say normal fans' money. There's handicappers' money. There's owners' money. There's a lot of money in the Kentucky Derby pool. I'm definitely pumped, to say the least.
Well,
Sneeze.
Well,
Thanks,
Lawrence,
Teddy.
Jesus, let's talk about some track conditions, because obviously, track conditions can be a huge issue when it comes to handicapping the race. Talk about the weather and how that could influence the track tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head, Teddy. The track conditions can definitely change whether or not, it's a bias towards the front, a bias towards closers, whether or not horses like the kind of a wet going, or they prefer a fast going. So we have seen a pretty substantial amount of rain that came in last night. It's held off a little bit, but from the weather reports that I'm seeing, we're probably going to see a little bit more precipitation as we kind of get later on in this Oaks card. So it's really important to keep an eye on that, see what they're doing, and see how this may influence the track tomorrow. Now, the superintendents and the people that work on the track, they've got their finger on the pulse with the weather as well. They sealed the track, which means they come in, they push the dirt down basically as hard and as firm as they can get it, so that the water kind of just seeps over the top and goes to wherever they're going to drain it. As soon as they get the call, you should say, in the weather report that they're going to get less rain and a little bit more sun, they'll go out and they'll harrow the track, which is generally some big, thick, and long nails that are behind the tractors, and they're opening up the track to get air and to dry out the track. So I don't necessarily think that it's going to be a sloppy track tomorrow, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on as the races go on today. Look to see, who's benefiting from the pace, who's benefiting from the slop, and try to see how that's going to play out for tomorrow.
If you guys like what you're hearing and you enjoy this show, please take 2 seconds and hit that like button. Greatly appreciated. Sean, let's get into some horses and how to bet them. We have Fierceness at 5-2 and Sierra Leone at 3-1. How do we bet these two horses moving forward?
These two horses are clearly the two horses to beat, whether or not you're just looking at the money line. There's a lot of sports books that are out there saying either Sierra Leone or Fierceness or the entire field is what they're giving out. So a lot of handicappers are looking at this as kind of a two-horse race. As far as betting it goes, I really don't think that you can use both of them to create any kind of value. So you really have to take a stand on one or the other horse based on the fact that they're 5-2, 3-1, and then the next choice is 8-1, and then we go to 10-1, and even jump up from 20-1 there. So the morning line and the way this is being bet is saying it's a two-horse race, but let's see if we can punch some holes in the form. It's the Kentucky Derby. All these horses have been pointing towards going to this race, so there's a lot to like about every horse in the field. It's for me, betting these horses is what kind of holes can we punch in their form, and is that good enough of a stand to bet against them? So we'll start with the 5-2 morning line favorite, the 17 Fierceness, which will be going from the 16 post now that the 9 Encino is scratched. So keep that the 17 post has never won. Keep that curse out of your mind. It's irrelevant this year based on the favorite and the post that he's going from. But look at his last race, and he won by 13.5 lengths, geared down, impressive. It's basically the race that everybody's looking at, and if he runs back to that race, who can catch him, kind of thing. But if you kind of jump under the look under the hood there on how he performed in that race, he broke on top. He ran the first call in 47-2, the second call in 111-1. He did it all his own way with nobody ever pressing him. Go back to 2 races back in the Holy Bowl, he got pinballed around from the start, never really got into where he wanted to be, and just completely spit out the bit. Didn't give any effort down the stretch. Kind of a disappointing third place finish, beaten 3 lengths as the 1-5 favorite. But then if he runs his race back from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile race, that's really the race that he wants to race in this on Saturday. He wants to sit off the pace, let the pace setter kind of go on and set those fractions and go on with it. In that race, he put away Muth, who, if Baffert wasn't suspended, would probably be a short price as well in this race. So it wasn't like he put away a short field. But, like I said, with the Holy Bull, he didn't get the race his own way, and he spit out the bit and really didn't give much of an effort. So, what fierceness are we going to see on Saturday? Are we going to see him get the race his own way and run on with it the way he can? Or are we going to see traffic problems? And in a race with 20 horses, 19 other rivals, 90% of this field is not going to get the trip that they want. They're going to have to overcome a little bit of a hurdle. So, it's definitely a question mark on which fierceness we're going to see on Saturday.
So, Sean, just real quick. I mean, you spent that time talking about fierceness, but I want to talk about with both favorites. All right. The last 5 years, the horse to win the Derby has been 8-1 or higher. There hasn't been a favorite that sniffed crossing the finish line first. Why would anyone bet either of these favorites, 5-2, 3-1? I just don't understand regardless of how good they've been, this has been a terrible race for chalk. Why would we bet chalk here? Is there a rationale? Are you betting chalk here?
So, Teddy, you kind of alluded to my top pick already. I am not betting the chalk. I'm punching holes in kind of both of these horses' form. I don't like the trip that Fierceness is going to get. He kind of wants to sit on the lead. He's never really shown us that he can sit off the pace other than that one Breeders' Cup race, which in that race he was a 15-1 long shot. Muth and the jockey on that horse were thinking about other horses. They weren't really keyed up on him. And kind of just to allude to your question about, the favorites not winning these races, this really used to be a point system. This now is a point system. It used to be on money and the purses that these horses have won in their 2-year-old and 3-year-old campaigns. Now we're getting a lot of trainers and a lot of owners that are really picking their spots. They want to find that Kentucky, the Toyota Bluegrass at Keeneland. They want to get their points at a track that they know their horse is going to run in. And they kind of shy away from racing against each other up until the Kentucky Derby. I mean, even Baffert, you can't really knock a guy for not wanting to butt heads with his own stable. But, when he qualified for the Kentucky Derby, he was shipping his horses to all kinds of different parts of the country, leaving some at Santa Anita just to qualify for those points. So, we're not getting the competitive Kentucky prep races that we've seen in the past. And now these horses are really, like we said with Fierceness, he got the race his own way in the Florida Derby. And now in my opinion, he's not going to get the race his own way. So this is really the first test that he's going to have since that last race in November. So, I think it really comes down to these horses aren't necessarily as tested as they used to be. And that may be the reason why we're seeing some longer shots come in. And I hope that's the case on Saturday.
We've got just a few minutes left here with Sean Alvarez breaking down the Kentucky Derby, the most exciting 2 minutes in sports that runs tomorrow from Churchill Downs. So we've talked about why we don't necessarily want our money on the favorites. You listed 3 long shots. Forever Young, the number 11 horse. Number 14, Endlessly. Forever Young's 10-1 on the morning line. Endlessly, 30-1. Number 18, Stronghold at 20-1. Give us just a brief overview of those 3 horses and how you're going to bet them before we let you go.
Yeah, my top pick is the 11 Forever Young. In previous years past, and hopefully we change that on Saturday, but in previous years, we've never seen a Japanese horse or even a UAE Derby horse come over and win the Kentucky Derby. A lot of that has to come down to just a travel schedule. It's so tough, flying that many miles in a plane, having to, go back to a tough race, give out that kind of effort, and then really be, keyed up and ready to go for the Kentucky Derby. But if you look at the 11 Forever Young, he's 5 for 5. He's done everything that he's asked to do. But if you look back at his 2 last races in the UAE Derby and the Saudi Derby, he's overcome trouble in both of those. Like I said, this is a 20-horse field. We're going to see a lot of trouble in a horse that, a horse that's going to win this race is a horse that's going to have to overcome that trouble. So he's already done it in the last 2 races. I love the way that he reaches for the wire. So I just expect that we're going to get his best effort. Whether that's good enough, we'll wait and see on Saturday. But if I don't like the 2 favorites, a 10-1 price, maybe we get a couple points higher, but 10-1's easily enough for me to swallow on that. You alluded to the 14 Endlessly, huge price at 30-1. This horse was meant to be a turf horse in his 2-year-old campaign. He was 3 for 3 and then pointed towards the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Race, which is definitely one of the top races for a 2-year-old. He warranted a 5-1 price, didn't do much running in that. Now he's being pointed at the Kentucky Derby, went more on a turf, or a synthetic route, but this horse is going to come flying late. I hope that Fierceness is up on that pace. We get a quick pace, and whether or not Endlessly can get there is yet to be seen. But at 30-1, I think that's definitely worth being on your ticket, especially underneath. The 18 Stronghold, this horse looks like he's just kicking the barn door down as far as just how he's working on the track in the morning. He ran a 46-3 bullet at Santa, and then went over to Churchill and ran a 59-4. He hasn't done much wrong. He's 3 for 6 with 3 second-place finishes. You get Antonio Fresu, who's been lighting up the board at Santa Anita. Again, 20-1. I think he's definitely got a shot on Saturday.
Sean Alvarez joining us, everyone. And guys, if you want a deeper dive into the Kentucky Derby, Sean and Marco are on with Joe Ranieri, Pony Pundits. You can find that at our YouTube page. Somebody asked if Forever Young is Japanese. No, they're from the wonderful city of Alphaville. So that's where they are located. And Sierra Leone is clearly from Japan. So that's my take. Really quick.
Nobody got the reference, Lawrence. Nobody got that Alphaville reference, but except for you and me.
You got.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm old enough. Yeah.
Sean, did you get the Alphaville reference?
No, dude. It's an obscure song from 40 years ago.
Yeah. Listen. In all seriousness, Forever Young is big in Japan.
Wow. Impressive. Sean, what do you have to promote before we let you go?
Yeah, I've got my Oaks card live. The card did already start, but I've got my full card for the Derby tomorrow. It's up for $25 on my page. Don't wait for tomorrow to get it. It goes up for $10 the day of. So let's jump on it and let's cash some winners together tomorrow.
Sean, I got to tell you a couple of quick things. Firstly, my dad is canceling his golf with you. My apologies. He decided to actually retire, so he's not coming down to Vegas. Humble apologies. Second, I want to give, Teddy, people advice on how to bet the Kentucky Derby, because I've bet one horse race in my entire life, and I turned $12 into $12,000, the biggest bet I've ever made in my life. What I did was I asked my one daughter to pick a horse. I asked my other daughter to pick a horse, and then I picked a horse. And then given that I had no idea how to bet any of these horses, I ended up placing these horses in order accidentally. It was $60. I made a $60 bet picking them to go 1, 2, and 3, and it happened. Biggest bet I ever won in my life. Anyway, that's my suggestion. Ask your kids, all of you, stand around the TV and scream. Sean, are you okay with that analysis?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the opposite of the let it ride strategy in the movie. You walk around the track, you ask people who they like, and you scratch them off.
There you go. Sean, really great having you on, man, and a privilege to have you on Wager Talk. Thanks for joining us, brother. Guys, we got a big show still to come. Gianni the Greek joining us. Teddy's big game breakdown, Art DiCesare, and we'll take apart both the NBA games with Art tonight. So Teddy had a 5% big ticket on the under in the Philadelphia-New York Knicks game, and he forgot to let the two teams know. So let's hear about this, Teddy.
Sure, anatomy of a loser. And of course, look, we crow about our winners. We're going to come on here, and when we're red hot, we're going to talk about it. Well, I'm not shy about talking about what went wrong in a handicap that I got completely wrong last night with a 5% big ticket play on the Knicks Sixers under. And my thought process was, look, the database clearly shows Game 6's trend heavily to the under. Game 4 stayed under. Game 5 stayed under in regulation. Both teams had been playing, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Travis Maxey, and Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris. They all played more than 48 minutes in Tuesday's overtime affair. And Sunday's game was equally intense, where all those guys, except for Harris, played 40-plus minutes. So tired teams, tired stars, defensive-minded potential elimination game. These type of games go under. And then 3 things happened that I weren't expecting. Well, first, I posted late Wednesday night as the market was crashing. I wake up, and that was a head fake. The market numbers that I respect were pointing the other direction. Clearly, there was something that I didn't see in that regard. And their markets were right. There was a first game all series where both teams were pushing pace off every miss. And then the Knicks had that huge first quarter, forced Philly to push pace, and then it was by far ended up being the fastest paced game of the series by margin. And then I thought at halftime I was still live. I didn't love it, but I was still live. The third quarter came out, both teams were raining threes, 31 of them combined. Sometimes if you can get to the fourth quarter in one of the tight one-possession games, the offense will slow to a crawl. Here's Tom Thibodeau's quote after the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was one big play after the next. That one was wrong. Dead wrong. Didn't play out as I expected at all. I was wrong in 3 different aspects of the handicap. And that's okay. We don't love it. Twitter hated me last night. Doesn't matter how hot you've been. You're an idiot. You're wrong side. It's going to happen. I'm never going to be perfect. Still 8-1 the last 9 in the NBA, 28-14 in the last 42, 5% plays. And it's not a scenario in which we're going to panic off a bad loser last night. It sucked. Didn't enjoy it at all, but it's a brand new day today. Back to you, Mr. Prez. Although first, got to mention real quick, so that special offer, 24 hours only, MLB, buy my MLB through the All-Star break, get the NBA playoffs for free. It's as good an offer as you're going to find. Take advantage of that right now at WagerTalk.com, wt.buzz/TC. Lawrence?
Who's OG Ababubi?
OG Anunoby is a former
OG Anunoby. Anunoby.
Okay.
OG Anunoby smoking a doobie with his boobie. Okay. Gianni the Greek joining us. How are you, my friend? I miss you. No, bad microphone situation.
No one can hear you, buddy.
Daniel's son?
No. We can't hear him. Let's see if we can get his mics taken care of. We'll be back with Gianni in just a minute. Lawrence?
Okay. So we got 2 NBA games going tonight. Theodore, are you in action?
I'm in action on one of the 2, but we got a minute here. Should I do my big game breakdown? Let's not kill time. Let's keep the show moving.
Do it. Go. Big game breakdown for the Theodore.
Sure. I could do a what bettors learned and come right back with a big game breakdown. Just let me pull up my notes real quick. This is a client play for me on Friday night. I do have a 3-pack going this evening, 1 in the NBA, 2 in MLB, and this is one of the 2 in baseball. Let's talk about the Braves and the Dodgers. Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Mostly 9.5 says the total. You can still find 9s out there for this one. Total sitting in the side sitting in the pick'em range, -110. And I made a case for the over in this ball game. We're talking about the 2 most potent offenses in baseball. Number 1 and number 2 in run scored per game. Number 1 and number 2 in OPS this season. There's nothing fraudulent about these top tier run production numbers. Not enamored with either of these 2 starters. Look, Charlie Morton's incredible. All right, he's 40 years old. And when Charlie Morton faces a lineup that doesn't hit well, he'll dominate them. But he's the guy that relies more on guile than good stuff, than dominant stuff at this stage of his career. When he faces a potent lineup, I don't trust him. He had 2 starts against the Dodgers last year. He got bombed for 6 runs in 5 innings in one of them. And the other one, he only lasted 4 innings. He allowed 9 base runners and threw 90 pitches, but he pitched his way out of a couple of jams. Either way, I'm not convinced he's going to eat up innings here, and the Braves bullpen behind him, middle of the pack in early season play. LA, they don't have an ace on the hill. It's Gavin Stone tonight. He's coming off a season-high pitch count. He's allowing base runners in bunches. The Dodgers bullpen behind him is dealing with injuries. And hidden underneath the radar, 15 previous games at Dodger Stadium this year. We've seen 3 unders cash, 11-3-1 to the over on this field. I'm expecting more of the same tonight in a game that has high scoring potential. Look for the Dodgers and Braves to get up and over the total. There's your big game breakdown. And again, I talked about it once. I'll just talk about it real quick again here. Take advantage of this offer. MLB through the All-Star break. Get my NBA playoffs for free. 31-17 MLB run. The NBA's been outstanding. Check it out right now on my page, wt.buzz/TC. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Back to you, Mr. Prez. Okay, Teddy, let's give Gianni a go. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Look, this stuff happens. We have technical problems. We have there he is. Gianni, let's hope your mic works, because I got to tell you, man, you are worth the price of admission, and admission is free.
Nope.
You're muted.
You're mute. You
Hit
mute.
the mute button. Mute button. Nothing.
Nope.
Okay, Theodore. Well, we're gonna refresh Gianni and try again, guys. We appreciate you guys staying with us. This normally never happens. Teddy, should I do my stand-up comedy routine I've been writing?
No, but you can do your. Okay, so I'm getting this wrong. Is it the presidential address? Full. What's the
penalty box?
What's your little segment?
The penalty box
versus
segment.
Presidential address. Explain why you switched from one to the other, because I don't understand.
I don't know either. We're gonna go back to the presidential address. What do I know, dude? Let's see if we can get Gianni going, and we do have Art DiCesare coming. What, Dan? Okay, Teddy, I guess we'll go straight to the penalty box segment. Let's cure up, Danielson.
Yeah, we can fly. We can adjust on the fly. It's okay. It's no crisis. Sometimes things happen. Lawrence, it's time for your daily penalty box segment. Go.
Okay, boys, we got 2 NHL plays games going tonight. I'll give you picks on both of them, but before we get into that, who gave you the under in the Leaf game last night? This guy. Who gave you a 2-0 in the penalty box segment the night before? This guy. Who hands out free money? Let it rain, let it rain. This guy. And I'm on a 5-0 run for my clients as well. 10-2 NBA run, up in MLB, up in NHL. I'm in a good mood. I'm feeling it. So, Nashville playing Vancouver tonight. And we're going to go with the Preds tonight. Game 6, must-win situation. And this Vancouver team has honestly played freaking awful. It is a wonder that they're up 3-2 in this series. They got an absolute luck house win in game 3 in Nashville, or it might have been game 4 when they won 4-3. They were down 3-1 with 3 to go in the game. Nashville has really held this team to almost no shots. I mean, record historically bad shooting by the Vancouver Canucks. And I think we've got a veteran Nashville team with Yossi and O'Reilly. We got Soros and net. This is a I wouldn't say this is a stacked team of world-class talent, but it's certainly a team of veterans who've been here, done that. And I think Nashville gets it done, and I think we see a game 7, and I think we see a game 7 for Vegas as well. They're playing Dallas tonight. Vegas is minus 105. And man, I look at this and this is a shocking line to me. How can the current Stanley Cup champions be minus 105 in a must-win game on home ice? It makes no sense. Sure, they lost 3 in a row to Dallas. The last game they lost was by 1 goal. Another game was in overtime. Last game, they had terrible refereeing. They got completely unlucky. This is a veteran team who's been in these elimination games before, and they're stacked. This team is loaded with talent. I'm shocked that Vegas is minus 105 here. So take the Vegas Golden Knights minus 105, take Nashville minus 130, and that is it for the penalty box segment. Dan is sending me some Dan, do we have Gianni or not? Okay. No Gianni today, everybody, but I can do Gianni, Teddy. Let me give out. I'm going to give out his 2 plays because any play from Gianni is gold, regardless of whether he delivers them. In UFC this weekend, Gianni likes Jonathan Martinez at minus 140. That's Jonathan against a true legend, the 75-year-old Jose Aldo. And Steve Ercik plus 160. So that's Steve Ercik plus 160. Other than that, we'll get him back on for next Friday. Do we have Art DiCesare with us? So, Teddy, let's talk about the game you are not betting in the NBA tonight. Go.
Sure. Though I'm interested because Kyle came on yesterday and talked about taking Pantoja, talked about the favorite in that fight. Gianni coming on today saying Ercik as the dog is the way to look. So that's definitely worth noting. 2 guys in different directions on that same fight. When it comes to NBA for tonight, Lawrence, look, Clippers Mavs is the game I'm not involved with. And I'm not involved with because I don't have a strong take. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. I don't trust Dallas in this point spread range necessarily. I really don't. And yet the Clips, I'm not convinced that the Clips are the type of team that's going to fight tooth and nail to the finish. I don't know what to do with the game. So it was an easy, from a side standpoint, it was an easy pass for me. We had Dallas in game 5. Dallas is the way I've been looking in this series, but this point spread range wasn't the point spread range I was looking for to get involved with a game 6 wager. So pass for me side. I really didn't have a strong take on the total either. In general, I would look at Dallas, LA under, 2 teams that can play defense. And obviously as the series progresses, game 6 unders make a whole lot of sense. So I guess if I had to play tonight's game, which I don't, I'd look at the Clippers and the Mavs under the total before I looked at either side. Lawrence?
Teddy covers. Art DiCesare joining us. He's joining us now. Art, we're going straight into this Vegas Golden Knights game. I'm baffled at why this price is so low, Art. Look, I understand that Dallas has won 3 games in a row. I get it. But, man, 2 of those games any team could have won. Vegas had horrible refereeing against them in that last game. And this is a veteran hockey team that has been here, done that. Is this a reflection of you guys getting big bets on Dallas? What do you like in this game, and what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, Prez, we've been getting a lot of Dallas money. And, with our fair splits, you get plus 102 on Vegas tonight. So, you can
You get
get
your
a,
minus
you get a little,
105.
exactly. You can get a little plus money over at the Superbook. And listen, Prez, this series has been tight. We talked about it before the series. Dallas was only a $1.30 favorite. I think that was a reflection on how close these teams were, even though Dallas is the number one seed in the West. We know Vegas with their pedigree and the way they went and won the Cup last year. Obviously, a lot of respect for Vegas early on in the betting market. And then when they went up 2-0, you even came back and saw the reflection in game 3 and game 4 lines that you would think, okay, all the momentum's with Vegas. Vegas is going to be, $1.15, $1.20 home favorite, and they weren't. Those were basically pick 'em games. So the way Dallas has flipped this series is incredible to me. I'm with you, Prez. I think Vegas finds a way to win game 6 and force a game 7. And then, you could throw your hands up and anything can happen in a game 7. But I think Vegas will find a way. I was a little miffed by the goalie change. It wasn't Hill's fault they lost game 5. I thought Thompson was playing well. Cassidy, listen, a lot smarter than me, all-time great coach. But I was shocked that they made that move. So it was interesting to me that they went there, but I think we see game 7.
Teddy?
So if you were looking at betting Vegas, would you be interested in, you guys are offering what, plus 350 on the series price right now. All they got to do is win 2 games. And when you're talking about a 2-game scenario, it's a much truer line or fairer line than you're talking about if you're going to bet on a team in the money line in every game in the series. Your return is comparable when you talk about a 2-game sample size. This is a series that Vegas was minus $4 in a week ago, and now you can get plus 350 on Las Vegas. You think they're going to win tonight? Would you take Vegas on the series price as well?
I think that is an excellent point, Teddy, because you're right. You're not going to have your rollover scenario where you're going to get to that type of number. You're not going to get that. A game 7, yeah, Stars will be slightly favored to me, but it's a game 7. I think if you think also too, you get to a point in a game 7 where the Knights go up early, you can in-game it, you can take plus money on the other side. There's so many ways to play that, getting the Knights at plus, 3.25 or 350, depending on what you're going to get. I think that's an excellent.
Teddy,
Lawrence,
keep
you want to ask
rolling,
another
man.
NHL? Okay. Well, if Lawrence is going to ask it, we're talking hockey. Let's talk hockey. Talk to me about Vancouver and Nashville. Talk to me about Toronto and Boston. Talk to me about Carolina and the New York Rangers in NHL action for the weekend.
Absolutely. Nashville at home trying to force a game 7 in a game 6. $1.20 favorite. That's where it should be. I agree with you as well, Prez. I think Nashville, they blew that game. They've been the better team, and it's weird to say because they're down 3-2. But I think they find a way to force a game 7 as well. 5.5, shaded to the under 115. I actually like the first period under, which is 1.5, minus 120, 125, depending on where you're looking. I think we see basically a 2-1 game tonight. Toronto and Boston at game 7. This is going to be one hell of a game. We get it featured on Saturday night. Does Boston blow 2 straight years of 3-1? Does Toronto get their hearts broken again in this type of scenario? Boston, a pretty sizable favorite, minus 136. Shaded to the under in a game 7, 5.5, under 120. Really haven't seen much come in on that game yet. And Prez, I'm really interested to see your take on this series. It's basically the first, second round series that came out. And when we opened Carolina Rangers series price, we opened Carolina a pretty sizable favorite, minus 140. That number was no good. It's now minus 160. I'm shocked by how high that is. I understand Carolina's probably better. They're probably power rated better. You're going to say, well, Art, hold on. The Rangers had a better record. They were the President's Trophy. Carolina's a wonderful team. But to me, this almost feels like a toss-up series. And to have Carolina lay $1.60 now, when you're getting plus 140 on the Rangers, don't get me wrong, I'm a Rangers fan. This isn't being a homer. I think there's some value now with the Rangers at plus 140. I'm interested to see what your take is, Bruce.
Art, I think the Rangers are the right bet here. Firstly, I think Carolina's got goaltending issues and big time goaltending issues. And this Rangers team is absolutely freaking stacked. I mean, they are rolling out 4 quality lines. They got the best defender on both teams in Fox. They have probably the 3 best forwards out of all the teams, out of both teams, and they certainly have the best goaltending. I don't understand this line at all, Art. I'm baffled, but I'm curious what you think about Game 7 tomorrow, the Leafs and Boston.
Prez, I have to be fair. When all these series started, I picked Toronto in 7. I'm going to stick with Toronto in 7. I love that they made the goaltending change, and I understand there is all the pressure in the world. Prez, you can speak to it better than me on Toronto. That franchise always has pressure. The fan base puts a lot of pressure on the team. All the pressure in the world's on Boston now. Boston is at home. They have Game 7 at home. They're now going to blow another 3-1 lead like they did last year to Florida. I think Toronto can come out fast and loose. Obviously, you need to know what's going on with Matthews, but he didn't play in these last 2 games and they won. So I'm going to stick with Toronto. I think you take Toronto with the plus money because I think you're looking at a 1-goal game, tight game.
Sure. Total in that game, 5.5, juice to the under. Game 7 action Saturday night in Boston. That should be a whole lot of fun. Of course, we're having a whole lot of fun right here with Art DiCesare at ArtDice21 on Twitter. One of our favorite guests each and every Friday. And we reserve this spot for him because he gives us such good information every week where the money is flowing at the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas. So let's talk about what's going on in the association for the weekend. We have Cleveland, Orlando tonight, Dallas, and the Clippers tonight. Let's talk about those 2 games first. Where's the money flowing? Do you have any opinion on either of these 2 contests?
Well, Cleveland-Orlando has been the forgotten series of all the series in both sports. Nobody seems to want to bet this series. They put it on NBA TV where no one can find the games. No one can find it on NBA TV. But you're going to kind of get a feature here where they're going to sit there in a must-win for Orlando at home. Listen, Orlando opened 3.5. It's now 4. We only moved with the market. We really didn't move off sharp bets or, anything of that nature. 200.5 is your total. They've been wanting to bet these unders. We've seen a lot of under money come in all these playoff games. There really isn't a lot to speak of for this game besides the slight market move to 4. There's just not a lot of interest in the series, Teddy. Now, Clippers-Dallas, that's different. Obviously got a lot of star power. People thought this was going to be a long, fun series. But Dallas now looks to close out at home in a Game 6. They're a sizable 7.5-point favorite. We hit 8 briefly, and we saw some Clipper money come in at 8. There was no surprise there. Sometimes if you get to a point where the sharps feel there's too much value, they take it. We're back to 7.5. 208.5 is the total. I think Dallas, and listen, I'm not an NBA bettor or an NBA guy at all as far as, week in and week out, day in and day out during the regular season. I love the playoffs, but I think Dallas finds a way, be tight early, but I think Dallas will win the game, pull away late 3rd quarter, early 4th quarter. I don't think the Clippers have the fight in them. Dallas moves on.
And let's talk about the 2 game 1s on tap. 1 for Saturday, 1 for Monday. I see the Nuggets and the T-Wolves, and obviously the Pacers and the Knicks. Talk about your series price openers, talk about the Game 1 openers, and tell us where the money has been flowing at the Westgate Superbook for the 2 game 1s this weekend.
Minnesota at Denver, what a series. This has obviously been up for a couple of days now. We've known about it. We opened Denver 4 at home. It's 4.5 now. Some early Denver sharp money came in. I don't think there's any surprise there. Series, Denver minus $2. If you're taking Minnesota, you're getting $1.70. That's plus money. We haven't moved off the series opener, so we really haven't seen anyone take a position on either side. It's going to be a fun series. I mean, you got the defending champs, you got Ant-Man, you got all the fun. And Teddy, I know I came on here last week and talked about the Suns, how they didn't have a shot in hell if they ever got to Denver to beat them. I think Minnesota has an outside shot. I think Denver's going to win, but I think Minnesota grabs a couple of games. I think they'll grab a couple of games at home. I think it's a 6-game series. I think Denver still moves on. Minnesota is obviously the up-and-coming talented team. This next series, we've seen a lot of move on your opening series number. That's Indiana at New York. Game one, Knicks are going to be -6. Sizable game one, home favorite. We opened the series price Knicks -240. We're now at Knicks -275. So a lot of Knick money has come in overnight and early this morning. You've seen 30, 35, almost 40-cent move on the Knicks. I think eventually you'll have some people who will grab the Pacer plus money because once again, I think this could be a long series too. I think everyone's just putting the Knicks in the conference finals, which I think is wrong.
Yeah.
Knicks probably still win, but I don't think this is just some walkover 5-game series. Indiana will come to play. They have some guys. And listen, the Knicks have Brunson, but they got a lot of role players, and the role players are playing great. Don't get me wrong, but if they don't hit their shots, it's like anybody in the NBA. They can be beaten. So I was surprised by how much early money has come in on the Knicks to move that series price like that.
Art DiCesare joining us, and Teddy, God, your response to Dan was exactly. So behind the scenes, Dan slacks Teddy and I and says, I've been trying to get Gianni on for the last 15 minutes. He's now logged off. Keep moving. Teddy responds with, I gave up on him 15 minutes ago. I gave up on him 15 minutes ago, bro. I couldn't even know Dan was still trying to get him on the show. Anyway, Art, Kentucky Derby, my friend. Is it a big thing for you guys at the Westgate? Is it going to take up the screens? Are you getting lots of bets? And who do you suggest we bet in this I could care less race?
Prez, it is still a big deal. I always tell people this. We are a race and sportsbook. We still cater to race bettors. We still have a whole site dedicated to race bettors. We will have all the sound, all the action tomorrow. Listen, Super Bowl, March Madness, Kentucky Derby. Those are the 3 biggest betting days. Those are the days where the people come out, the public comes out. I always say, my mother bets the Super Bowl, my mother bets the Kentucky Derby. She fills out a bracket, and my mother doesn't bet. So those are the type of days.
Like it's like running around in a circle.
Prez, I get it.
Like hamster racing next, dog racing, gerbil racing. Like
150 years, Lawrence. Just because it's not your sport doesn't mean it's nobody's sport.
Exactly. And listen,
okay,
I'm not a
Theodore. Well said.
No, you got to get into the Derby. The Derby will be fun tomorrow. We'll have it will be full. People will be dressed up. You'll see a lot of that. You'll have drink specials at the bar, mint juleps for everyone, all that type of stuff.
Will you be playing Alphaville?
What?
Will you be playing Alphaville?
I don't know.
Nobody.
He has no idea. Again,
how old are we, Teddy? How old are we?
No one's going to get that reference. But I can say for a fact, I've been to watch the Derby at the Westgate Superbook. It's a lot of fun. It's the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Art, before we let you go, let's talk a little baseball for today because Lawrence doesn't want to ask. He wants to go in other directions. Talk to me about where the sharp money's coming, where the square money's coming, and where Arthur DiCesare's money is going on today's baseball card.
So public is happy to lay 2 big favorites today, laying the Yankees at home, $1.50, laying Cleveland at home, $1.75. So 2 big favorites seem to be in everyone's parlays today. Some straights on them as well. San Francisco at Philly, under money's come in. 2 quality pitchers, Nola versus Hicks. We're now under 7.5, under 115, where we were juiced to the over a little bit overnight. And this Atlanta Dodger game, obviously 2 of the best teams in baseball. Fun early season matchup. We've seen sharps on both sides. When we opened, we basically were at the pick'em range. LA -108 in that range. Got up to as high as LA -116, 17, 18, almost a 10-cent move. And then we saw some buyback on Atlanta. So both sides of the coin, sharps are taking. And we're now back at that pick'em range. I'll stay with that game. I like the Dodgers at home tonight. I think they get it done. And obviously you're laying a short.
Art DiCesare, just to end on the Kentucky Derby, nothing like watching a bunch of animals be whipped by a bunch of small white guys as they run around a track. Okay, Art, what do you got to promote, my brother? We love you here. And yes, I don't understand the whole horse racing thing. They really should not be allowed whips, though. Like, they should just run the race, without whipping the damn animal.
It's a crop, not a whip.
Oh, my bad. Cropping them.
Yes. Art, what do you have to promote, my friend?
Listen, Teddy, you said it. You've been down there on Derby Day. It's a big day. We're going to have a lot of fun, this weekend. And obviously, you got all the playoff games. Baseball still rolling. We are looking to get some NFL stuff out maybe this weekend.
Wow.
We talked about this last week. Maybe some divisions this weekend, because we know there's going to be a lot of people in town. So, and now listen, don't come kill me on Twitter if it's not there. We're going to get it out here in the next couple of weeks. So we will have a lot of football stuff coming. And as always, if you need any help, you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on Twitter. You can always, look for us in the book. We'll answer any questions for you. And listen, guys, have a great weekend. It's always a pleasure being on with you guys.
Oh, we love you, Art. Thanks so much for doing this, man. Save the show, Teddy. Art DiCesare. It's just as good as it gets. Brian Brown, Prez is woke. Well, I am. I'm awake now, yes. I wasn't before the show, though. Teddy covers real quick. I got to let everyone know what's going on for me tonight. You can go after. I got a big card tonight, man. I've been perfect the last 2 days. I'm on a 10-2 NBA run. My baseball is up profit. My NHL is up profit. I'm really seeing things well. I've got 2 NHL bets for tonight, 1 on each game. I have 1 NBA bet and 2 baseball bets, so a 5-pack up at WagerTalk. Go grab that. And remember, we have a great promo going until May 12th. Buy 7 days, get 11. It's our 7-11 offer. So buy 7 days of plays and get 11 all access. What do you got going? And take us home.
Sure. That's going to wrap it for the week at WagerTalk Today. You can get all my selections on my page, wt.buzz/TC. We do have a 3-pack going tonight, MLB and NBA. But the best special is clearly, baseball through the All-Star break. Get my NBA playoffs for free. You can get that right now, wt.buzz/TC. That's going to wrap it for the week. Best of luck with all your wagers all weekend long. We'll be back with another edition of WagerTalk Today, live Monday morning. Between now and then, enjoy the games and best of luck.